and I've already got my next project. Hello and welcome back to the channel, Hollow Vision Car Edition. So it's been a long time since I've had anything going on. Going through Craigslist this morning, found a pretty good deal. Ended up being a really good deal. So I snatched it up and I got this bad boy. Here we go. Nice little 2004 Honda Civic EX. So I think it's got like 125,000 miles. Had listed it really cheap because it was overheating. He was thinking it was the fans, which I don't know if the fans work or not, but I have had Civics before, and based on what he's saying, I think it's going to be a head gasket, which I've replaced a head gasket on these before. They're not too bad to do. So I'm going to do that. It's got a couple other little quirks here and there. The speedometer said I was doing 120 all the way home. Oh yeah, baby, we're going hype speed. Which I assure you I was not. So a couple little things we're going to figure out. Mainly, it just needs to be cleaned. That's like the best deal you can get, is a car that's got a couple little easy to fix things and needs to be cleaned. So here we go. I got to show you guys a little bit around the car. Oh yeah, honestly pretty good condition. I don't think it's ever been smoked in. He liked his air fresheners, but it just needs to be cleaned up. It's just dirty, but man, I'm pretty excited. This thing clean. Look at that. Free labor. She's all cleaned up. We got the inside cleaned out, man. Actually, the interior of this car is really clean. Came with 3 out of the 4 factory floor mats. Of course, the one that's missing is the driver's one, which kind of sucks, but it cleaned up pretty good. It's got a lot of like little paint issues, but I mean, about what you'd expect for this caliber of car. So obviously the next step here is we got to replace this head gasket. So the guy said it was overheating, and he would basically go through coolant. He's basically said in the Craigslist ad originally that the fans were not coming on, and that he thought that the fans needed to be replaced, or one of the sensors or something, which is true. I haven't heard the fan come on, but my suspicion, because I've owned a Civic before that had a head gasket issue, was that it had a head gasket blow and it's blowing the coolant out the exhaust. I think I had that confirmed because there was coolant in the car when I left. It was about a 30-minute drive home. The car ran great. Started getting a little bit warm, and I turned on the heater. And so if you turn on the heater, if it was a fan issue, if it keeps the temperature cool with the heater on, then indefinitely, then it probably is a fan issue. Because as soon as I turned the heater on, the temperature stayed right where it needed to stay. It was good. And so I was almost thinking maybe it was the fan. And then I got home, just like a mile from my house, the heater got cold and the car started warming up, which what that means is basically it had no more coolant in the car, and there was no more coolant going through the heater system and obviously cooling the car. So we do know that it is losing coolant, and it's not losing out of the bottom. I checked the oil, it is not milky, and everything else is normal. So we are just going to do the head gasket, and so I guess we're going to start by taking off all this stuff and that stuff and that stuff and some more stuff, and we'll just kind of dig into it and see what we do. Stuff. Obviously, I took out all these. So one thing I stopped to talk about was when I took the coil packs out, I realized that the tubes were wet with oil, which I was kind of happy to see because I know it was dripping oil, and that could be a number of things. But one thing that I know, I was saying that I watched the YouTube channel Watch JR Go. He recently did one of these cars, and it had the same issue. It was gushing out oil, actually. And he did this. Is one of the things that he did to fix it. So obviously you can see it's been leaking really bad, like all over the place. So that's going to be a good thing because the head gasket set comes with that new gasket, obviously. And we're going to replace a whole bunch of new gaskets. So we're not going to have oil leaks at the end, which is awesome. All right, here's where we stand. So I think as far as this engine, I'm like 20 minutes in. And I'm already pretty far along. I got the exhaust manifold is all the bolts are taken off. I just got to go and take those off. So the exhaust manifold's on the way off. Obviously I got the intake. That's going to be a little more involved because we got a lot of stuff in the way, right? Always make sure to put that rag in there to make sure you don't get gunk down in your engine. We're gonna have to clean all that crap up. So just got the car this morning. The best way to get the parts was obviously on eBay. So I've ordered those. They'll be here by early this week. So honestly, all I'm worried about right now is getting this down to, ready to put the stuff back on so we can get everything disassembled and ready to be reassembled next weekend, next Saturday. I got the manifold off. Look at how small those tubes are, man. That's like, almost looks like a motorcycle manifold. Basically, I think the next thing I'm going to start doing is I'm going to take off this stuff. I'm going to take out this bad boy. I'm going to do the timing belt and water pump and the whole shebang while I have it apart, because why not make someone not have to come back and do it again. So I'm going to pull this off. We got a bolt down here. I'm going to get this timing cover off here in a minute. We're going to have to end up taking motor mount off here. We're going to have to I might have to go get a special tool because I got to take that crankshaft pulley off. I know those bolts are kind of a pain. And then obviously I got to take off the intake, separate the intake from the intake manifold from the head. Making some progress here. So I've got this water, I call it a water jacket, call it whatever you want. So it had the EGR valve that went on top of it right here. That thing was pretty dang sooty, so I'm gonna definitely clean that up, as well as in there. But so basically I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts, and then a couple hoses. It was kind of a kind of a jerk. That one kind of gave me some trouble. So got that out of there. I was able to get this out of my way, which is nice. Turned out it was plugged into the alternator. Now I'm working on getting this power steering pump out. And then that's out of the way. I'm going to get this timing cover off. And then we're going to start working on the intake. Looking at that water pump, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks brand new. And so does the belt. There's no way that belt has 125,000 miles on it. That was replaced right around 110,000, just like it was supposed to. So I have no reason to spend money and do all that. Which means I don't have to take off the pulley shaft, the pulley bolt, the compressor always knows when to come on, huh? So what I was saying is I don't have to take off the crankshaft pulley now, which is awesome because it takes like a special tool to do it easily, and it's just a hell of a lot more work. I don't have to deal with all the timing issues, none of that. So however, I still got to be careful because I don't want to lose tension on that timing belt, right? Because it's going to be hell of a time trying to get it back again, although I've done it in the past. So I was going through YouTube stuff, and there was this dude that does these like in the side of his apartment complex, and he recommended this. He had like a stick going across, like a broomstick, and he wired it to that so it would not drop. And you know, I figured, what the heck, it can't hurt. If it drops, it drops. But maybe it'll help. So I got it all secured in there, nice and wired, and then I found this little block, secured in there, made this little jig, so that's not going to move. And then I'm going to wire that to that, and as it comes off, I'll just make sure it's nice and tight so it doesn't lose tension, and then take some bolts out and get the head off. We got all these head bolts loose. We got the camshaft pulley off there. I guess the only thing left to do is crack this thing off here. Oh, I didn't need to crack anything. It just came right off. I didn't even like barely touch it, and it just like fell off. Interesting. Wonder if that tells us something, huh? Let's see here. Hopefully I got everything disconnected, although I can tell you right now that I did not. Gotta love those little tiny lines all the way in the back where it's hard to reach. But they're always going to be there, so don't get mad. And especially when you have your homemade little jiggity jig right in the way. Of course. That's cool. So this little jig that I came up with, I would say the success on it is about 50% maybe, I don't know. I definitely lost tension. I tried to tighten it as tight as I could, as fast as I could after it came off, but it had already lost tension. But the good news is that I have pretty easy access to the tensioner, and I don't see any problems with being able to get in there and get tension back on it. To get the pulley back on. I'm not worried about it at all. Whoa. You know what? I should take these head bolts out because I think they're grabbing a little bit. Let's kind of...
Hi.
Ooh, let's go, baby. Are you from your home? Okay. Now we're talking, baby. I officially beheaded this beast. Oh, that's a grisly scene right there. But it's out. Look at that, baby. Woo, doggy. I made me a mess. That's all right. Look at that. The block looks good. The deck, they call this the deck. The deck looks good, and my other observation looking at this, hard to say. I don't think that it's been replaced or replaced recently. However, I don't know. That mating surface looks pretty clean. It's possible that someone put a head gasket on this. But I'm going to take a look at this head and see how it's looking. I'll show you how to check the head for warpage. So it's going to be about 80 bucks between pressure testing it and milling it or resurfacing it. Now, some people say you don't really need to do that all the time. You can check. Some people say do it every time. Of course, when I called the shop, he told me, oh, it's gonna need it. Yep, it's gonna need it. So I think bottom line is I'm gonna show you a little trick that everyone else will show you, and it'll work on any car. I went and got a tool especially for it today, which is basically just a straight edge, and I'm gonna show you that. So bottom line is when you take it to the machine shop, you got to have everything off it. It's got to be just the head. You can have the valves in it and stuff like that, but other than that, it's got to be off. So you can't have an exhaust manifold, you can't have intake manifold, stuff like that. So we took the intake manifold off. It was 5 bolts. It was easy to get off once we had the head out. So now I'm going to show you real quick. I got Camden Man here. He's my assistant, but I want to show you just real quick. It's easy to check if it's warped or not. So I have a perfect straight edge right here. This is not like one of those flimsy ones. Like, this is a legit, like, rigid straight edge that is, you know, factory made, machined, whatever you call it, whatever you say. So basically you just hold it against there. Now, to do it legit, you should get a feeler gauge and check the tolerances. There is acceptable tolerances on what's allowed. I saw a couple people just kind of ballpark it. You want to have it clean too. I don't have this very clean, but I've been kind of looking, and honestly, it doesn't look like it's warped to me. Everything looks pretty legit on this one. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm no pro. I've done this a few times. But that's a pretty tight gap, as is that. I'm trying to get the light on it so you can see it better, but you know, it looks pretty good to me. But you know what? We're gonna send it. We're gonna spend the extra money because I know I'm gonna make some money on this car, and I don't mind making sure the next owner has a good, solid job. Okay, so that's it. We got this thing ready. I'm going to take it to the machine shop, like I said, tomorrow, and I should have it back the following day. They said they have a pretty quick turnaround time. And then I'm going to be putting all this stuff back in over the weekend. But probably do a little cleaning up, wiping down type stuff, cleaning parts. Parts are pretty nasty, greasy, dirty. So I'll do that, but I'll do it off camera. And then the next thing we'll see is getting this thing back together and getting it started, and then getting it sold. It's going to be awesome. Later.
Later.